previously as Jinwoo saved Hyun's life by transforming Byung-gu into a shadow soldier. As the Korean hunters departed, Jinwoo stayed behind to clear the remaining ants. Afterward, he reached level 100 and resurrected the Ant King as a shadow soldier, naming him Beru. New characters were introduced, including a Chinese 5-star hunter and 2 potential future enemies, while Jinwoo's father observed them from the shadows. After the Jeju Island raid, Jinwoo honored those who had lost their lives. He then secured permission to open his own guild before stepping into another Red Gate alone. Inside the Red Gate, Jinwoo's shadow soldiers fought against the gate's monsters. He managed to find the boss, and the creature asked him if he was the one who had been killing his people. It remarks with twisted amusement how impressed it is that Jinwoo managed to make it this far, despite having such a small, seemingly fragile body. But that amusement quickly turns to menace. The creature raises its hand and signals to its forces. He had already stationed his minions throughout the area, ready to spring a deadly ambush. But something's wrong. Nothing happens. The creature glances around in confusion. The air stays silent. No allies appear from the shadows. No attack is launched. Just an unsettling quiet. A frown begins to form on the creature's face. Meanwhile, Jinwoo remains still, calm, his gaze fixed firmly on his opponent. Not a trace of panic shows on his face. Then Jinwoo finally speaks. "Call me small again. That's funny." He raises his hand and gives a subtle signal. Suddenly, from the dark edges of the forest, movement stirs. One by one, figures emerge. Shadow soldiers, loyal and fierce, marching out with unwavering purpose. Some drag behind them the severed heads of the enemies fallen. The forest grows darker as the ground begins to fill with Jinwoo's summoned army. Jinwoo, standing tall among his shadows, taunts once more. "Looks like no one from your side made it out." Confusion turns into dread. Then, thud, something hits the creature square in the face. Startled, it reaches up and grabs the object. It's another corpse, one of its own. Eyes wide, the creature lifts its head and sees Jinwoo again, this time surrounded by a vast army, a sea of darkness prepared to devour anything in its path. Panic fully takes over. The creature shouts in desperation, ordering any remaining forces to attack and destroy Jinwoo's army. But Jinwoo remains composed. He calmly gives his order. "Wipe them out." Both sides surge forward, and the battlefield erupts. But from the very first clash, it's clear. The outcome is already decided. Jinwoo's shadow soldiers are faster, stronger, and better organized. They strike with deadly precision, overwhelming the enemy with little resistance. As the intense battle unfolds, Sung Jin-woo begins advancing toward the dungeon's boss. Leading the way ahead of him is Tank, the enormous shadow bear, who crashes through enemy lines with ease, clearing a path for his master. Sensing the threat, the boss monster erupts with rage. It roars and charges directly at Jinwoo, attempting to stop him before he can get closer. But before it can land a single blow, 2 powerful shadows intervene. Beru swoops in with incredible speed, slicing off one of the boss's arms with razor-sharp claws. Igris follows right behind, his sword flashing through the air as he severs one of the creature's legs. The massive beast collapses to the ground, overwhelmed. As it tries to lift its head, another presence looms over it. Tusk, the high mage of Jinwoo's army. Without hesitation, Tusk casts inverse gravity, pinning the boss down with an unseen force. The ground buckles beneath the weight, rendering the monster completely immobile. Step by step, Jinwoo approaches. Calm, he comes face to face with the fallen creature. His voice is low and cold. "You'll answer my questions," Jinwoo says. "It'll hurt less if you cooperate." He proceeds to interrogate the boss, trying to extract vital information. But once it's over, Jinwoo stands before its lifeless corpse, silently reflecting. Again, nothing useful. He suspects the same interference as before. The system itself may be blocking the flow of information. Frustrated but not surprised, Jinwoo opens his inventory. "I'll figure it out eventually," he mutters. "So it's fine." From within the inventory, he retrieves a peculiar object, a key. It's one he obtained earlier from a cursed random box. Jinwoo recalls an important moment. He had reached level 100 during the Jeju Island raid. That achievement fulfilled the minimum requirement to unlock a special dungeon. Now the item's name becomes visible. Key to the Temple of Carthion. A countdown timer ticks beside the key's description, indicating the limited window of time before the key would expire and the dungeon would be lost. As he studies the item, vivid memories flood his mind. Flashbacks of the double dungeon, the place where everything began. He realizes something. This may not be random. The system is calling him back. But he's not the same man who once crawled out of that dungeon barely alive. Now he's stronger, far stronger, stronger than anything that temple might hold. He wonders if all of this was orchestrated from the beginning, if that dungeon is still waiting for him. And if it is, then wait for me. Meanwhile, deep inside the Temple of Cartheon, a shadowy figure stirs. Sitting in the darkness, an entity smirks, sensing Jinwoo's resolve from afar. It hears his words and prepares. Jinwoo is coming. The scene shifts to a dark and eerie dungeon. A man trembles in fear, trapped. In desperation, the man stammers, demanding to know who or what this creature is. But the figure responds coldly, as if talking to himself. He's not the one either. A pause lingers in the air, then the figure mutters again. They're hiding well, those brilliant fragments of light. This cryptic remark refers to powerful beings, ancient rulers known as the brilliant light fragments, scattered and concealed in human hosts. It's Sillid, known as the king of the snowfolk, the monarch of frost. Sensing a familiar aura, Sillid turns. Standing in the shadows is Yogman, the king of demonic specters, also known as the monarch of transfiguration. With a calm and confident tone, Yogman announces that he has news regarding the eastern island. Sillid narrows his eyes, asking if he means the small landmass that lies eastward, the one humans call Korea. That island is the current dwelling of the Shadow Monarch. Intrigued, Sillid asks if Yogman intends to take action there. Yogman explains that the rulers have begun deploying their legions near that region, just south of the Shadow Monarch's territory. He then adds, with a hint of ambition, that he will be the one to claim that place. But Sillid challenges him, pointing out the obvious risk. And how do you plan to deal with the Shadow Monarch himself? Yogman, unfazed, gives a sly smile and responds, if the planner fulfills the contract, everything will go according to plan. Then with growing interest he adds, besides, the greatest of the brilliant light fragments has been confirmed to be there. This revelation changes everything. Sillid's expression sharpens with excitement. He turns toward Yogman, realizing the implications. You came all the way here, just to tell me that. Yogman nods slightly, then inquires what Sillid plans to do with that information. Sillid responds with a smirk. If you're willing to follow me, then why not? But before their conversation can continue, Sillid pauses. His eyes scan the surroundings. Something feels off. We've been lured here. A third figure approaches. Sillid watches carefully and comments that the man they saw earlier couldn't have possibly held the power of a brilliant fragment. Yet somehow the traces of that power are here. This can only mean one thing. Someone intentionally baited them. And now that someone is standing right in front of them. With burning rage in his eyes, the man confronts them. He demands to know more about the small island to the east. He suspects they're referring to his homeland, Korea. Sillid smirks at the man's fury and responds with mockery. And what will you do about it? From behind, Yogman speaks up, clearly uninterested in wasting time. We don't have time to deal with him. They begin to turn away, but Sillid can't resist throwing one last taunt. Try and stop us if you can. The man explodes into motion. Furious, he charges toward them with raw power, vowing not to let them escape. But Sillid remains still. In an instant, an ice shield forms in front of him, effortlessly blocking the incoming attack. He grins, unfazed, as if amused by the attempt. With a calm but menacing aura, the Monarch of Frost raises his hand. A pulse of power erupts. A devastating wave of frost energy explodes outward, shaking the dungeon to its core. The scene transitions from the chaos of the battlefield to a quiet parking lot. Sung Jin-woo walks toward his car. Just as he reaches for the door handle, a voice calls out behind him. Excuse me, he says politely. Are you Sung Jin-woo? Jinwoo turns slightly, nodding cautiously. The man introduces himself as Adam White, a senior official from the Federal Bureau of Hunters, a powerful U.S. organization. He hands Jinwoo a business card and adds with a smile, It's a pleasure to meet you, Mr. Sung. Please feel free to call me Adam. Adam quickly apologizes for the unexpected approach. He admits that Jinwoo was hard to track down and even mentions that he dropped by Jinwoo's office earlier. Hearing this, Jinwoo remembers something. This must be the man Yu Jinho had mentioned, the one asking around for him. Jinwoo narrows his eyes and asks directly, What business do you have with me? Adam remains calm and respectful. He explains that he's here to share important information. That piques Jinwoo's interest. What kind of information, he asks. Adam gives a subtle smile, then answers, Information that no country or institution in the world could provide, except for us. Jinwoo raises an eyebrow. And why would you share that kind of information with me? Adam responds without hesitation. Because people like you are worth sharing it with. It's mutually beneficial, he continues, revealing that their original purpose for contacting Jinwoo was something entirely different. But after witnessing what Jinwoo did during the Jeju Island raid, their deputy director insisted on meeting him in person. This level of attention is unprecedented, Adam admits. But the deputy director will explain the details himself. He gestures toward a car parked nearby. If you'd like, we can take you to him now. Jinwoo glances at the vehicle, his expression thoughtful. He still isn't fully convinced whether the information is trustworthy. As he opens the door to his own car, he replies, "Let me think it over. I'll contact you." Adam chuckles softly, as if expecting that answer. "How silly of me," he says. "I forgot one rule. Never hide a strong hand when trying to strike a deal." He pauses, then says two words that immediately grab Jinwoo's attention. "An upgrader." Jinwoo freezes. Adam explains further. "An upgrader," he says, "is an awakened individual with the ability to enhance the power of another awakened being. You've heard of them, haven't you?" As he speaks, the scene shifts. Adam and Jinwoo are now in a car, pulling up to a building where a bigger conversation and deeper truths are about to be revealed. Inside, Adam White leads Sung Jin-woo into a quiet meeting room. Adam introduces him as Michael Connor, the Deputy Director of the Federal Bureau of Hunters. Michael stands and shakes Jinwoo's hand firmly. "It's a pleasure to meet you," he says. With formalities out of the way, Adam takes his seat and mentions that he will serve as their interpreter during the meeting. Wasting no time, Michael slides a stack of documents across the table toward Jinwoo. The folder contains immigration paperwork. Michael explains that under normal circumstances, acquiring American citizenship would take 1 to 2 years of processing. But for Jinwoo, all it takes is a word, Michael says confidently. "We're prepared to make you a citizen immediately." Jinwoo, however, stays focused. He calmly replies, "I came here because Mr. White said you had information to share." And questions, "Is it truly possible to upgrade a hunter's abilities?" Michael smiles knowingly and gives a surprising response. "In fact, the one who can do that is here, right now." He turns to one of his staff and says, "Please call Miss Sellner in." Moments later, a woman enters the room with quiet grace and calm confidence. Michael stands and introduces her. "This is Norma Sellner," he says, "the only person in the world who can enhance an awakened being's abilities." Jinwoo observes her closely. She feels different, not just in appearance, but in the unique aura she carries. "She doesn't feel like any hunter I've met before," he thinks. Michael then encourages Ms. Sellner to explain her ability in her own words. She steps forward and begins, addressing Jinwoo directly. "I understand if you're skeptical. Everyone I've met had the same look when they first heard this." She pauses, then adds with a faint smile, "But once they experienced it, they begged for more." As she walks toward Jinwoo, Michael gently calls out to her, keeping the moment grounded. Ms. Sellner begins to explain. She tells Jinwoo that every awakened individual has a natural limit, a ceiling they cannot surpass. A hunter's rank is fixed, and unless they undergo a second awakening, their power will never grow beyond that limit. This fact is widely accepted as common knowledge throughout the awakened world. But then Jinwoo asks, "So, you can change that?" Without hesitation, Ms. Sellner nods. "Yes, I have the ability to lift that limit." She goes on to describe a process that happens in 3 stages, a gradual unlocking of a person's true potential. She admits that she didn't know what to call this ability at first, but over time, it became known as a force reawakening. Put simply, she can draw out the true strength hidden within an awakened being. Mr. Connor nodded in agreement with Ms. Sellner, affirming that everything she had explained was indeed true. However, he was quick to add an important limitation. Each time Ms. Sellner used her ability, it drained her immensely. Because of this, she could only help around 3 to 4 people in a single year. Jinwoo remained quiet, but his thoughts were racing. If what they said was true, then he might be one of the few chosen to benefit from such a rare and powerful ability. That alone spoke volumes about its value. Curious, he leaned forward slightly and asked how effective this enhancement process truly was. Ms. Sellner responded calmly, explaining that the results varied from person to person. However, for those who completed all 3 stages, the increase in physical capability ranged from 20% to 30%. That number hit Jinwoo like a thunderbolt. To someone already at the peak of their abilities, a 30% boost was almost unthinkable. He finally understood why someone like Hwang Dong-soo had accepted the US offer, even if it meant public backlash. It all made sense now. Who in their right mind would turn down such a chance? Still, a thought crossed his mind. What would happen if others discovered the truth about Miss Sellner's power? Mr. Connor answered that concern without hesitation. That was precisely why the U.S. government kept her under close protection. In exchange for her cooperation, she received full security and a generous salary. In return, she assisted in strengthening select hunters, those deemed valuable enough to receive her gift. With that, Mr. Connor formally reintroduced Miss Sellner to Jinwoo, stating that her powers would be used on him as a token of goodwill. Jinwoo, still unsure of their motives, questioned whether this was truly a gift or just bait to draw him in. Connor clarified his position. If Jinwoo agreed to work with the Federal Bureau of Hunters, he would receive top-tier benefits. They would also personally arrange introductions to any guild he preferred and assist him in negotiating the most favorable contract. Ms. Sellner then gently pushed a small plate across the table toward Jinwoo. She assured him there was no need to rush his decision. They simply wanted him to take time and consider the offer. Jinwoo looked at her with a hint of surprise. She reaffirmed that, as they had said, this was a gift, not a demand. After a brief pause, Mr. Connor made another proposal. He asked if Jinwoo would allow them to temporarily remove his limits so that he could experience the effects firsthand. Jinwoo was taken aback. For nothing in return, he asked. Connor responded that it was to be considered a complimentary demonstration, meant only to show him the potential of what was being offered. At that moment, Jinwoo remembered something Miss Sellner had said earlier, that once he felt the power, he would come back on his own, begging for more. Her confidence now made perfect sense. Ms. Sellner then requested that Jinwoo hold out his hand and look directly into her eyes. She explained this was the first step in the process. Watching from the side, Michael Connor observed quietly. From his perspective, Jinwoo had already taken the bait. He was calm, calculating, and listening. But Connor believed that once Jinwoo experienced even the first stage, he would come back to them voluntarily. And if he was the impulsive type, he might even sign the papers right then and there. As the process began, Jinwoo extended his hand toward Miss Sellner. The moment she took hold of it, a faint glow started radiating from his skin. A green aura gradually enveloped him, and a flicker of light ignited deep within his eyes. Mr. Connor silently observed, his mind drifting to Jinwoo's past achievements. He recalled how Jinwoo had turned the tide during the catastrophic Jeju Island raid, displaying powers that defied explanation. Even now, he couldn't help but wonder, what more is this man capable of? The energy continued to surge. Ms. Sellner's eyes began to shimmer, and her entire body was cloaked in a radiant yet eerie light. Then, something shifted. It was as if her consciousness had been pulled elsewhere. Suddenly, everything around her faded into a vast void of darkness. Within that black expanse, a vague outline began to emerge. A shadowed figure stepped forward, slowly, from the depths. Each step it took brought it closer, closer to her. And then, it stood directly in front of her. Its presence was overwhelming. Its glowing, fearsome eyes pierced through her soul. It wasn't just looking at her, it was watching her, as if silently warning her that she had trespassed where she shouldn't. Overcome with fear, Miss Sellner let out a scream. The glowing energy shattered. The process came to an abrupt halt. The atmosphere in the room instantly turned hostile. Agents nearby sprang into action, drawing their weapons and aiming them directly at Jinwoo. Panic and confusion filled the air as they demanded to know what he had done to Miss Sellner. But before they could escalate any further, Mr. Connor exploded in rage. Slamming his hand on the table, he yelled at the agents, calling them fools. "Do you even realize who you're pointing your guns at?" he barked. "If you're so concerned, go check on Miss Sellner. Don't stand there acting like amateurs." Turning toward Jinwoo, Mr. Connor lowered his head and apologized. His voice was firm but regretful. The agents had overstepped. Jinwoo, still composed despite the sudden hostility, accepted the apology with a calm, "It's all right." But the tension wasn't gone yet. Fuming, Mr. Connor walked over to the nearest agent and leaned in, his tone colder than ever. "If this were Thomas Andre or Liu Jigang sitting in that chair," he said, "you'd all be dead right now." The terrified agent could only nod in silence. Connor then turned his attention back to Miss Sellner, who was now visibly shaken. Her body trembled, and sweat clung to her skin as if she'd just escaped a nightmare. Concerned, he asked if she was feeling unwell. Seeing her condition, Mr. Connor quickly addressed Jinwoo again, explaining that it would be best to postpone the procedure. Jinwoo, understanding the situation, agreed without hesitation. With a subtle gesture, Mr. Connor instructed Adam White to escort Jinwoo out of the room. Once the door closed behind them, the room fell silent, except for the sound of Ms. Sellner's ragged breathing. Mr. Connor approached her carefully, his tone softer now. He asked her what had just happened. Miss Selner, still unable to calm herself, finally spoke. Her voice trembled. "He's a king," she whispered. "A powerful one." Connor blinked, startled by the term. "Do you mean like a national-level hunter?" he asked, still trying to make sense of her words. But Miss Selner shook her head. Her expression turned pale. "No, not like that," she said. "I've never seen anything like this before." She repeated the words again, slower this time. "He's a king, but not just any king." She paused, trying to gather herself. "When I looked into him, he looked back at me. Within him, there was nothing but darkness, a depth I couldn't escape from." Her hands were still trembling as she added, "There's no limit to his power." Inside the newly established guild office, Yu Jinho sat at his desk, focused on paperwork. As he wrapped up a few reports, he muttered under his breath with a scoff, "Some people just never learn. Filing complaints after getting sued, whining like kids. That's not how this works." After some time, Jinho leaned back and nodded in satisfaction. He believed he had successfully tracked down all the groups that had been spreading false rumors about Jinwoo. While taking a short break, he suddenly noticed Jinwoo standing silently behind him. Startled, Jinho turned around. Jinwoo commented with a smirk, "You're working pretty hard." Jinho could only think to himself, how does he always appear without making a sound? Jinwoo asked if everything was running smoothly. Jinho reassured him that there were no issues. Then, noticing Jinwoo's outfit, he asked why he was dressed like that. Without answering directly, Jinwoo handed him a bag filled with magical cores. "You said we needed funds for the guild," Jinwoo explained. Opening the bag, Jinho's eyes widened. The contents were more than enough. "Well, I guess we won't need to worry about paying employee salaries anymore," he joked. Jinwoo tilted his head. "What do you mean?" Jinho reminded him that hiring another guild member meant they'd need to cover that person's salary too. Jinwoo nodded in agreement. "Even if we're only filling the guild's required numbers, we need someone who's loyal, someone who's in it for the long run, not just a placeholder." Then, with a more serious tone, Jinho brought up an important topic. "There's something we need to take care of first," he said. "We need a name for the guild." Jinwoo sighed dramatically. "I thought it was something serious," but Jinho countered, "It is serious." Jinho leaned in, throwing out suggestions. "How about Sung Yu Guild, based on your surname? Or Yu Sung, it flows better. Or even Woohoo Guild, using the last syllables of our names. Wait, maybe Jinjin Guild, based on our middle characters." Listening to all the creative, if slightly ridiculous, suggestions, Jinwoo finally declared his decision. "We'll name it Solo Play Guild," he said. Jinho blinked. Was that supposed to be a joke? Before he could respond, a knock came at the door. Jinho got up and opened it. On the other side stood a familiar figure, Hunter Cha Hai-in. Surprised, he asked, "What are you doing here?" Cha responded directly, "I want to join your guild." Soon after, they sat around the table together. Jinwoo looked at her with curiosity and asked her to clarify why she was there. Cha repeated calmly, "As I said, I'd like to join your guild." Jinwoo was puzzled. What's happening? He asked if the chairman had requested her to join, or perhaps if Hunter Choi Jong-in had expelled her from the Hunter Guild. Cha firmly denied both. Looking at her more seriously, Jinwoo asked, "Then why would you want to join a guild like mine, especially with that name?" Cha raised an eyebrow. "Wait, you really named it Solo Play Guild?" Jinwoo nodded. "Yeah. What's the problem? The Vice Master and I agreed on it." Jinho quickly objected. "Hey, when did I agree to that? What about the names I suggested?" Shifting his gaze to Cha, Jinho subtly examined her breathing and expression. She seemed calm, but he could tell it was an act. "She's hiding something." "But why?" Then he asked bluntly. "You were awakened 2 years ago. You're still under contract with the Hunter Guild, aren't you?" Cha nodded but added, "I have enough to pay the cancellation penalty." That response caught Jinwoo off guard. "She's even willing to pay the penalty," he replied honestly. "Our guild doesn't have the resources to match what an S rank like you usually receives," Cha countered effortlessly. "That's fine. I don't need an upfront payment." Jinwoo frowned slightly. "But there's nothing here for you to gain. So why would you want to join us?" Cha paused, unsure how to explain the thoughts racing through her mind. "If I tell him the truth, it'll sound insane." Her mind flashed back to the Jeju Island raid. She remembered regaining consciousness in a helicopter. The chairman had told her they had just landed at the association and that the hunters would soon be transferred to the hospital. She immediately asked about Jinwoo. Was he the one who saved them? The answer was yes. She had nearly died. And in the future, something like that could happen again. Next time, I might not survive. Back in the present, she struggled to find the right words. Her cheeks reddened. I want to stand by your side, all the way to the end. Jinwoo noticed her silence and the color rising in her face. Why can't she answer? What is she hiding? He asked again. So you're not going to answer me? Cha finally responded. I just want to live a peaceful life. Is that so wrong? Jinwoo paused. She's only 22. Carrying the pressure of being an S-rank at her age must be overwhelming. After everything that happened on Jeju Island, her choice makes sense. After a moment, he said, there's an entrance test for our guild. Surprised, Cha replied, that wasn't in the recruitment notice. Jinwoo shrugged. Probably a new policy from the vice master. He turned to Jinho. Can you get us some drinks and snacks? Jinho left the room. Once they were alone, Cha asked, so what kind of test is it? Jinwoo answered plainly. You'll have to defeat one of my summons. Cha raised an eyebrow. Am I really that weak in your eyes? What kind of summon? Jinwoo smiled slightly. For you, Hunter Cha, I'll use my strongest one. Cha stood up. When's the test? Right now, Jinwoo said. Let's go to the association gym. He thought to himself, this is the perfect time to test whether shadow exchange works with two people. He turned to her and said, you don't need to walk. We'll take a shortcut. He stepped closer. We just need to stick close together for a second. Darkness enveloped them as Jinwoo activated shadow exchange. They vanished. A moment later, Jinho returned to the office carrying snacks. But when he walked in, he didn't see Jinwoo or Cha. Instead, standing in the room was a towering high orc. The two stared at each other in complete silence. Then, without a word, the orc reached out, took the food tray from Jinho's hands, and devoured it in one massive bite. Jinho could only blink in disbelief. The scene shifts to the quiet gymnasium of the Hunter Association. Cha Haiyan looked around surprised. She had just arrived through Jinwoo's teleportation ability. Turning to him, she asked in amazement, how did you do that? Jinwoo, keeping calm, thought to himself, I was right. Shadow exchange acts like a portal. I can bring someone along. He didn't explain much. Instead, he simply said, let's begin.